Okay, positive looking like this. Okay, so positive, it's overall it's going up. Okay, negative, overall it's going down, and then no correlation, they're just kind of random dots all over the place. Okay, however, it's the majority. Okay, so the majority of the dots are going up. So even on positive, I could have one that's like here and one that's like here. The majority of them are still going up. Okay, and so if we look at number 1, is that positive, negative, or none?
Negative.
That is definitely negative. Okay, what about number 3? Is that positive, negative, or none?
Positive.
It is positive. Okay, overall it's going up. Okay, even though it starts to kind of go down over there, but overall it's going up. Okay, find the mode, mean, and mean for each data set. Okay, is there an outlier? What does this do to the data? Okay, so down here at the bottom, I'm gonna write some notes. So what is the mode? The number that occurs the most. Okay, the median is really the middle. Okay, and you need to go from, you need to put the numbers in order. Smallest to large. Okay, and then you can find the middle. Okay, I'm not going to write it on here, but I can tell you if there are 2 numbers in the middle, you're going to take the 2 and add them together, because if we think about 6, okay, so if there were 6 numbers, right, and we cross off 2, and then we cross off 2 more, there's 2 left in the middle. There's not actually a middle, okay? So you would take the 2 that you do have, add them together, and divide by 2, okay? What about the mean? What is the mean? Yeah, okay, so this is the average. Okay, you're going to add them all up. And then divide by how many? And again, if you need the notes, write them. If you don't need them, don't worry about it. Okay, and then lastly, the one thing that was on here that we didn't like, we talked about it, but I didn't use this very specific word, is the outlier. Okay, so the outlier is somebody that sticks out. So remember one time they were talking about this little girl and she was like watching for red cars outside her house. Okay, if every day she saw like 5 cars, maybe 6 cars, 7 cars, and then one day she saw 150 cars, that don't match with the rest of the data. Okay, and so if you have a number that's really high, it's gonna make your like average go up, okay, or your mean go up. If you have a number that's super duper low compared to the others, so like if all of my numbers are like 50, 51, 1, and I have a 1 in there, that's gonna make my average go down, okay? So an outlier is someone who sticks out and does not match with the rest of the data, okay? And so that's what an outlier is, okay? An outlier is a number that doesn't fit. Okay, if there's a high outlier, then you have a high mean. Okay, a low outlier equals low mean. Okay, and we talked about how like a teacher, if they want to do like grade a test on a curve, that's to help people out. But if you have one student that like got an A already, there's really not much that you can curve there. Okay. Okay, so looking at this data, we have shoe sizes, okay? And so there's a lot on there, and so we need to go through and find the mode, okay? My suggestion would be just put them all in order immediately, but that's just me. Okay, so the mode, what is the mode? 8? Is that what somebody said? 7? Somebody agree with 7? Almost so. There's 4 8s?
Oh, sure, hang on, one, my bad. It's 8, yeah.
It's 8. Okay, and then the median, we gotta put them all in order. So I got a 6, 6.5, 7, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 8s. 3 8.5s. 1 2 9s. 1 9.5. 1 10 and 1 12. Okay, and so in order to find the mean, we put them all in order there, and so you can kind of start crossing off. So you would cross off maybe 5 from the front and then 5 from the back. Okay, and that's just how you're gonna, or you could do 1 from the front, 1 from the back, 1 from the front, 1 from the back, all the way until you get to the middle. Okay. 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 1 2. We got 1 and 1. Okay, and so the middle is going to be 8. Did I do that right? You got 8? Okay. Okay, the mean, we're going to go through and add up all the shoe sizes. Okay, and then we're going to divide by whatever number, something. 17. And you're going to divide by 17. So you're going to add all those up and then divide by 17. Get the type in, I can't do it by myself. Add them all up and divide by 17. We'll add them all up, hit equals, and then take that number and divide by 17. Okay, if you get a fraction, which you probably will, turn it to a decimal. 7.7. Okay, when you're doing your test, my suggestion would be to do it twice. Okay, unfortunately, if you even missed one tiny number, it's going to throw everything out. So, hit SD. Okay, so you're going to add them all up, hit equals, okay, and then take that number and divide by 17. What does somebody else get? So? 8.2. Marianne got 8.2. Huh? Well, you shouldn't be rounding, but that's not going to change your number that much, even if it's 7.7. Boys, what'd you guys get? 8.2. You got 8.2? Okay. So we're going to go with 8.2. Okay, I'm serious. As a heart attack, I would suggest you check it twice. Okay, unfortunately, when you're doing it on your test, a lot of you guys know how to do it, but then you just slip up on one little number. Okay, check it twice on your test.
I got 8.7.
Okay, the majority got 8.2, so that's what I'm going with. If you feel comfortable in your 8.7, then put that. Okay, determine whether each situation is correlation versus cause. Okay, what's the difference between the two? What's the difference? Perfect, okay, so it's been like medically studied, proven, There's really no way to go around it, okay? If it's 100 degrees out, your ice cream will melt, okay, and you're outside, like, we know that that's gonna happen, okay? Like, there's no doubt in that, okay? If you stick your arm in a fire, what is gonna happen? You're gonna get burned, right? We know that, like, there is no doubt about it. If it's super sunny, does that mean Dairy Queen is gonna sell a lot of ice cream?
Yes.
You would think, but it's not necessarily, okay? Everyone could be at work that day, or just decide that they don't want ice cream that day, okay? So that's not necessarily true, okay? Smoking causes lung cancer. Is that correlation or causation? Okay, and this is like, people would argue, I'm gonna go with cause. There is enough studies that have shown that smoking can cause lung cancer. Now, is that to say if you smoke, you're automatically going to get lung cancer? No. Okay? Could you get lung cancer even if you don't smoke? Yeah, you could. Okay? But there's been enough times where smoking is directly related to lung cancer. Okay? The more I eat, the fatter I will be. The more I eat, the fatter I will be. Is that a correlation or a cause?
Correlation.
Think it's a correlation? This is a correlation, okay? Think about you guys. You guys are still children, you go through growth spurts, right? Babies still go through growth spurts. They eat a crap ton of food. Does that mean you're gonna get fat? No, there are some people with really high metabolism and some people with really low metabolism, okay? So that's not a guarantee. It's not even remotely a close of a guarantee. Now, it depends what you're talking about. The more you eat, okay, well, I could eat one extra chip. Am I gonna get fat? No, but if I go and eat 1,000 hot dogs, probably, okay? But fatness is caused over time anyways. It's not from one meal it's gonna cause you, okay? But again, this one gets a little sketchy because, again, I would even say that could be caused, like if somebody really wanted to, okay? Is the study or question biased or unbiased? And if it's biased, why? Carlos wants to know the favorite sport of people at his school, so he asked his baseball team. Is that biased or unbiased? Biased, why? He's only asking the baseball team. What do you think that their favorite sport is? Probably baseball, okay? So it's biased because he asked the baseball team. Okay, when you do your test, you need to use a sentence. Okay, you can't just put baseball team, why? He only asked his baseball team and their favorite sport is probably baseball. Okay? 13, are you willing to deal with all the troubles of a new highway to get a mall in town? Is that biased or unbiased? It is biased. Why? It is an opinion. What word makes it opinion? Troubles. Okay. And again, you need to use complete sentence on your, I don't necessarily like care if you're punctuation or capitalization, but like explain, what do you mean troubles? Okay. Because they use the word troubles, that's an opinion or a negative word or something. Okay. David hosts a podcast and he is curious how much his listeners like his show. Okay, he decides to start with an online poll. He asks listeners to visit his website and participate in the poll. Identify the potential means not necessarily, a potential bias in his question. Okay, what's the potential problem with this? Okay. What is the potential problem with this?
Maybe someone else outside of people who watch his stream can vote.
Okay, so it's okay to say, how am I doing as a teacher? That's absolutely okay. So it's okay for him to like poll his fans, right? He wants to know how he's doing on his show. That's totally okay. So relook at it. What's the problem with the way that he's asking?
He's asking if they like the show when they already listened to it.
Okay. So the problem here is that he's asking an online poll, okay? If you're doing a podcast, that can come on through the radio, correct? That's not necessarily staying online. So then he asks his listeners who are just listening to go to his website and participate in a poll, okay? So you're asking them to go somewhere. If somebody doesn't want to go through all that trouble, is that necessarily a reflection on his show? Maybe just nobody answered because they don't want to go through all the hassle of going to find his website and then find the poll and then answer all the questions. Maybe they just didn't want to do that. Does that mean that they don't like a show? No. Okay, does that mean they do like a show? No, but if they're listening to it on a podcast, they probably do like a show. He's not saying, do you not like a show? He's saying, like, how much do you like it? He already knows that you like it, because why else would you be listening to it, right? How much do you like it? So the problem is this like online poll, okay? Especially if it's radio, like you could have people call in on the radio and ask them that way. That's totally random, is it not? Okay, so whose interest may be served by the question? So who has something to gain here? Not as listeners. Who has something to gain here? Him. Okay, he does. He's trying to figure out how can he do better. Okay. Okay, at the end of the school year, you guys will find out, but like I always do a survey. I make sure it's after your finals and everything. Like, how can I do better for the next group? Okay, I continuously try to strive to be the best I can be, to be more flexible or less work, or if I need to edit, if maybe we need to do more online, okay, and so I do it after your finals, that way you're not like worried about any sort of repercussions or something, which I would never, but that's what's happening with that, okay, so it's okay to say, hey, how can I do better, okay, and you should as a human being, okay, whether that's in your marriage, or at home, or at your job, okay, be the best version of yourself. So, determine if the sequence is geometric. How do we know it's geometric? What do you gotta do? Anybody remember? You do gotta divide what by what?
125 by 25.
Perfect. So the back to the beginning number, okay? So negative 125 divided by 25. What is that? Negative 5. 25 divided by negative 5. Negative 5. And negative 5 divided by 1 is negative 5. Okay, because those are all three the same, is this geometric? Yes. What is the common ratio? Yeah. So the ratio is negative 5. Okay, find the next three terms in the sequence after the last given one. So it's already telling you that it's geometric. Okay, they want you to find, the next three. And we can see on this one, it's the exact same as the other one before. Okay, so we know that our ratio is what? Negative 5. Okay, so I know my ratio is negative 5. So we're going to say 125 times negative 5. What is that? 625? Negative 625? Yeah. Okay, so negative 625 times negative 5. What is that? 3, just read me the number. 3 what? 3125. Okay, and then so we say 3125 times negative 5. Oh, start with 15625. Negative. Okay, and so these are our next three terms. Okay, find the term named. Find the term name. Who remembers the formula? A, does start with an A. A times R to the n minus 1. Okay, the easiest part on there is the R. What does the R stand for? The ratio. Okay, so my R is my ratio. My N is my finding. Okay, I'm finding. Okay, and my A is my first one. Okay. So my A, what's my first number on the list up there? 4. So it's going to be 4 times, and we need to find our ratio. Okay, so negative 256 divided by 64. Negative 4? Okay, so negative 4 is going to be my ratio. What is it asking us to find? It says find what? Find what? Look at the question. Find A what? 9. So my A is 9. Okay, so my N is 9. So 9 minus 1. And you're just going to type that in your calculator just like that. Okay, 4 times negative 4 to the, and then put the power. So 9 minus 1. What number do you get? 2, 6, 2, 1, 4, 4.
It's negative.
Negative, thank you. Okay, flip the page. I'm doing the one that has the bar graph on it first. Okay. How many students, first of all, what kind of graph is this? What kind of graph is this? Starts with an H. A histogram. Okay, so let's go to histogram. How many students receive a score between 60 and 80 on the test?
40.
40, good. How many students received a score between 40 and 60 on the test?
30. 20.
20, good. What type of graph is this? It's a histogram. Okay, I want you to think, what direction is this skewed? What direction is this skewed?
Right.
Okay, so we kind of talked about it. So the skewing, okay? Which way did we say a positive skew was? What did it actually end up looking like? It looked like a negative. Okay, the negative skew actually looked like it would be a positive. So the negative skew is when we kind of start off and then it goes up, okay? Whereas the negative skew, it starts off here, okay, and it kind of goes down, okay? And then the symmetrical is when it's just going to be symmetrical, okay? So if we look at this, it is actually going to be a negative skew. Okay, last one, it talks about snacks. Okay, what kind of graph is this? What kind of graph is this? It is called a dot plot. Okay, this is called a dot plot. Which snack was the most popular? Which snack is the most popular? Chips. Which snack was the least popular? Cookies. Okay, what is the mode of this data set? What occurred the most? Chips. Chips occurred the most, right? 4 people or whatever likes chips. Okay, so we could say chips, or you could say 4. Okay, you could say chips or 4. Okay, the rest of the sheet is for you guys to do. Go through and get your side done. You shouldn't have too many.